festering in our progressive community. The issue has caused a rift among us. All due respect, please respond. It's caused a rift. It hasn't caused a rift. It's revealed a divide between the people who actually want to do something and fight the establishment and the oligarchy and the people who aren't. It's revealed controlled opposition and people who aren't. It's revealed. It hasn't caused. Everybody's been for this. Superficially. Everybody's been for this superficially, forcing a vote for Medicare for all on the floor. Everybody. Ro Khanna, AOC. Nancy Pelosi was for it in 1994. Everybody's for this. The DSA, it's in their handbook, centerpiece of it. Everybody's for this. Except when it came to do it. And then everybody saw who wasn't for it and who's actually controlled opposition, like TYT. And what happened with the DSA? What are they doing? So this revealed a lot of stuff. This didn't cause anything. This is literally the argument you were against when it came to Medicare for all vote. Almost like that one. It's almost like that one would expose members of your party, and you cannot have that. That's exactly right. Except when it's for healthcare during a pandemic. Exactly right. So why then, AOC, didn't you use the same logic when it came to forcing a vote on Medicare for all? What is the difference? Look at how diplomatic Brianna Joy Gray was. Watch this. So she's playing good cop, which is good. She says, this is a good answer. Her answer about why she's forcing this vote. This is a good answer. And it was as true for Medicare for all as it is for impeachment. 15 million people have lost their employer-based health care because of COVID. 87 million are un- or underinsured. 68,000 preventable deaths per year. That's why we argued to force the vote. So that's her doing the super nice. I'm the bad cop. She's the good cop. This woman wonders, I wonder if AOC would be against this if it was Jimmy Dore who was forcing a vote on impeachment. Well, it depends on whether I said fuck or not, I guess. So, completely, but can I just say what this does? What this does, what her doing this, and she did this today. What this does is mean we were right.
She did it yesterday.
It was yesterday?
Yes,
what
January
this means
12th.
is we were right. That's what this means. That's what that means. That hashtag force the vote was right. Hashtag force the vote movement is completely vindicated. And anybody who was against hashtag force the vote is now, should be held to account. Now, meaning all the Justice Democrats who didn't do it and then lied about why they didn't do it. Most of them didn't even comment on it. Nobody even forced Katie Porter or Ro Khanna. Nobody had to comment on it. Nobody. The only one who commented on it was AOC, and she lied continuously. Lied. She didn't have bad answers. She was lying. Because this is the truth. I just want everyone to know 100% vindication of hashtag force the vote. That's what that was. If whatever she was intending to do there, she just stepped in it. That was a big screw up. Okay, numerous House Republicans have received death threats in the past week, and I know for a fact several members want to impeach, but fear casting that vote could get them and their families murdered. Not spinning or covering for anyone, just stating the chilling reality. She responds by saying, I get it, but some of us just spent the last 2 years taking stances that have led to repeat attempts on our lives for demanding guaranteed health care, immigrant justice, etc. What? What? Are you kidding me? She just said, but some of us just spent the last 2 years taking stances that have led to repeated attempts on our lives for demanding guaranteed health care. Not doing everything you can for Medicare for all. She didn't do anything. What are you talking about? What kind of gaslighting is this? She says, sorry if this lacks empathy, but it's a privilege if this is their first time. They can do one vote. Oh, my God. She wouldn't even cross Nancy Pelosi to push hashtag force the vote for Medicare for all, something she ran on. She wouldn't even cross Nancy Pelosi, and she wants these people to risk the threat of murder. Hey, can I say to you, AOC, not doing everything you can for Medicare for all, that lacks empathy. Here it is again. There it is, the complete vindication. And can I just tell you, all the stuff you saw around hashtag force the vote, the reason why this was such a big moment is because forcing a vote on Medicare for all is something that Nancy Pelosi said she was for in 1994. It's something that every one member of the Justice Democrats run on. It's something that AOC has been screaming about, saying make people uncomfortable, stop using polite language, make people uncomfortable. And then when it came to do it, they didn't do anything. And everybody started making crazy arguments. You saw that, right? You saw the Intercept running interference for the squad for blocking a vote on Medicare for all. You saw that happen, right? You saw the crazy attacks I took from the DSA leadership, right? And this is from World War II propaganda. This is from the United States playbook on how to do propaganda. And here, this is from the CIA, formerly the OSS. So I just want to tell you, does some of this stuff sound familiar, what happened over hashtag force the vote? This is called general interference with organizations and production. Organizations and conferences insist on doing everything through channels, never permit shortcuts to be taken in order to expedite decisions. That sounds like what the DSA did. Do you remember they said, well, we're not set up. Really, you're not nimble enough? You had a whole month to organize your people to do a thing that's the centerpiece of your organizing handbook, which is forcing a vote on Medicare for all, and you weren't nimble enough to do that? Or does it sound like this? Make speeches, talk as frequently as possible, at great length. Illustrate your points by long anecdotes and accounts of personal experiences. Never hesitate to make a few appropriate patriotic comments. Also, when possible, refer to all matters to committees for further study and consideration. Attempt to make the committees as large as possible, never less than 5. Bring up an irrelevant issue as frequently as possible. Haggle over precise wordings of communications and minutes and resolutions. Refer back to matters decided upon at the last meeting and attempt to reopen the question of the advisability of that decision. Also, advocate caution, be reasonable, and urge your fellow conferers to be reasonable and to avoid haste, which might result in embarrassment or difficulties later on. Be worried about the propriety of such decision. Raise the question of whether such action is contemplated lies within the jurisdiction of the group or whether it might. Do you see this? I don't know, but call me crazy, but I just experienced every one of those things over hashtag force the vote. That was weird. And let me remind you what she says.
Maybe we should just start voting on things based on whether we think it's right or not. And stop pretending that this shit's complicated. Because it's not.
Like hashtag force the vote. And stop pretending that swear words make a New York bartender offended. Especially when you're swearing right now.
With the people? Or you're with that mob?
She was with the mob of establishment people who are standing in between you and healthcare. That's the mob she stands with, just so you know. So I think this closes. By the way, sometimes we contradict ourselves. Sometimes we miss a huge opportunity. And sometimes we don't practice what we preach. Just so you know. And that's stunning what happened. That's stunning what she said. It was basically verbatim, word for word, what hashtag force the vote was for. So complete vindication for anybody who was for hashtag force the vote, and complete condemnation for all the phonies and faux progressives who stood in the way of something that we all agreed on that we should be doing until the moment came. So the people at TYT, people like that, the leadership of the DSA, they have a lot of answering to do. They have a lot of answering to do because of what and anybody else who defended AOC in the squad for voting for Nancy Pelosi without extracting anything or forcing a vote. Anybody who excused them is now in the hot seat, and she just did it to you. You know why? Because she just validated our strategy. That's what this does. What does this do? This validates hashtag force the vote. And if you protected her, it throws you under the bus. So if you have a YouTube show or any kind of show and you've been protecting her and the squad for voting for Nancy Pelosi and using convoluted logic to do it like Ryan Grimm and the people at The Intercept, this is throwing you under the bus. The person you've been running interference for, Ryan Grimm, AOC, just threw you under the bus. So the softball interviews that Jeremy Scahill did with AOC and the access journalism being practiced right at this moment by The Intercept, a pothead YouTube comedian sees right through it and is calling you out. Guess what? Everyone else saw it too. Everyone else, Justin Jackson, so when Ryan Grimm comes out and from The Intercept to do interference for AOC over something this clear cut, everybody ratios him on Twitter, but that's the price he has on mortgage. And this is the kind of journalism Ryan Grimm does. And now everybody knows that The Intercept is completely compromised. And it's not hard to outdo journalists in America. It's easy. I do it whenever I fucking feel like it. Whenever I put my light somewhere, I do a better job than they do. You know why? Because they're all compromised. They all have to work for a billionaire, or they all have to get access to journalists. I don't do any of that shit, which is why this show is much better and more people watch this show than read those pieces of shit outlets. That's why. We get more views on a video about the DSA than they have fucking members. Because journalism is completely corrupted in the United States, and all the quote-unquote socialist organizations that were supposed to be pushing this were MIA, and they were MIA on purpose, and now they have to answer to their own organization and their own members. That's what has to... And guess what? AOC is making it harder for them because she just threw them under the bus. And we're going to have our interview with Chris Hedges, and afterwards I'm going to show you the mental gymnastics Ryan Grimm from The Intercept had to do on Twitter today and how bad he got his ass dragged. It is hilarious. I guess being boring has protected Ryan Grimm most of his career, but it gave him a false sense of security. But that's been ripped apart by hashtag Force the Vote. And a dumb guy like me has been able to reveal a boring guy like that. It's amazing. It's kind of amazing. Hey, David Axelrod is on the line. Hello.
Hello, Jimmy. This is David Axelrod of the X-Files. Senior political commentator at CNN. Author, analyst, believer, and proud father of Alan Axelrod. Axel Axelrod, Aaron Axelrod, Alex Axelrod, and Rod Axelrod.
Hey, David.
I'm calling to urge you to keep up with this week's fast-moving events with the riveting MSNBC political analyst John Heilemann, proud Big Apple resident and lover of Great Danes.
Hey, I didn't know that about John Heilemann. Sounds exciting. Thanks for telling me.
Yes, David. Wait, I'm Dave. Yes, Jimmy. The Heilemann mystique is transfixing and irresistible, a force to itself. Baby, you'll want to get Heiler with Heilemann. And I'm just the delivery mechanism to do it. This week offers up a triple threat of getting the fix you need with all your Rodcast addictions. So tie yourself off and get ready to wet your undies with Schmidt, Cheney, and Heilemann.
You managed to score Steve Schmidt, Liz Cheney, and John Heilemann all in 1 week?
Fucking A right, huh? Jimmy, the year was 1974, and tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree was rising to number one in the charts. Senior Republicans told President Nixon his support in the Senate had collapsed, forcing him to resign. Could Liz Cheney's announcement to impeach be a prelude to a similar scenario? Find out on the next episode of the X-Files, called Prelude to a Similar Scenario. Say it with me, Jimmy. Prelude.
You seem to be expanding your show portfolio.
Yes, Jimmy. Together with my sons Alan, Axel, Aaron, Alex, and Rod, we're the Axelrod dynasty. So strap yourself down and prepare to get railrodded on the next exciting episode of On the Nose with Steve Schmidt. An in-depth look at current events from the perspective of a fabled political operative with chronic sinus congestion and the inability to properly enunciate the letter T. Did he just say Clinton or was it Clinton? I dig deeper into the next On the Nose.
Steve Schmidt.